what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. There is a ton to get to, and as I said, most of it from Brian Kelly yesterday was all about Jayden Daniels. He was asked about Jayden Daniels off the field and what's made him so special this offseason. Here is Kelly 2.
He's never been a guy that has built a bubble around himself. He has been a guy that has made himself available to everybody on the team, whether it's an offensive player or a defensive player. He's always been somebody that has reached out to others on our football team, and I just think that's made our entire team embrace him. His demeanor, his personality, you see him smiling on the sideline all the time. That's the way he is, whether he's in meetings or whether he's in the football building. He has that personality, and I think it's infectious.
Yeah, and that sounds obvious, but I don't know. Sometimes with quarterbacks, you never quite know, especially a transfer quarterback. That is a position that sometimes can feel a little separate, potentially.
T-Bob, remember
not
when he transferred in and the Arizona State players were trashing his locker room and talking trash about him, and we didn't know anything about him at all, really. And it's like, what's this about? Like it's
you didn't know if like was it just him being salty, or was he maybe kind of a, you didn't know his character at that point, like maybe he wasn't one of the boys.
Like in the day and age of the transfer portal, like we don't really see players get mad when a player leaves their team. No, like we always talk about, like we would probably get mad back in the day because it wasn't the norm, but now it is the norm, and we just don't see that. Like when a guy transfers, he transfers, and when you play against him, like you're dapping it up after the game on social media, you act like you're still teammates, and that's just what it is. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't have a feeling towards it, but they were trashing. It's funny, actually. It was an old LSU transfer that was one of the guys in the video, but, I mean, they were just trashing Trevez Moore.
Don't remember.
I know who that is.
Yeah, 3-4 DN.
Pass rusher?
Yeah. Played that Arden Key style.
Yeah.
I mean, when he came in, he was like a high 4, low 5 star. I mean, people really thought he was going to be the next thing, and he left after like a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll talk recruiting a bit later on, but that's actually a nice little foreshadowing of a bit of that conversation and how how it's going to go. Yeah. So that's a great point, Jake. Like we didn't fully know why his teammates felt so strongly in that regard, and it was a potential red flag, but. Well, now we see the potential went unrealized.
Maybe they just knew how good he was.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And they're damn it.
Yeah, and they're like, man, we're about to suck because we just lost our best player, which it certainly looks like that's the case. Brian Kelly was asked, have you ever had a quarterback make this level of jump? This is Kelly 3.
I'd be hard-pressed to think of a quarterback that has made the kind of leap that he has made to where now you're looking at somebody that is clearly a front runner for the Heisman Trophy, and I don't know that I've had somebody make that kind of jump. And I think that it starts with it was in him, and I think he had that upside. And it's probably one of the things that we saw in wanting him to transfer here is that we saw a player that could be elite, and it was a matter of him having the confidence in himself, and then the development process needed to take place. So I think all of those things coming together, and then having the confidence in himself to go out and do it. And it certainly has been fun to watch.
And speaking of the development process, here is Brian Kelly talking about the offseason plan for Jayden Daniels. This is Kelly 13, Mario, and how he was able to make this just massive kind of unprecedented improvement.
Once he made the decision that he was coming back for another season, it was then, okay, well, here's the plan. We laid out a comprehensive plan that went from January all the way until preseason camp. He invested in it as well. He used his own resources to, throw out on the West Coast and spend time with, people that allowed him to develop. So this was an all-in on both sides, and including Jayden wanting to, put himself in the best position once he made that decision.
So Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly literally created a plan that had a schedule and benchmarks and goals from the offseason till the start of camp. That is a strong re-recruiting pitch, right? And in the age of the portal and everything else, where players can leave and re-recruitment becomes like an entire new silo of resources that you have to fill, knowing that level of effort is put in to getting a player to come back and just to helping a player improve, right? But really selling them on the plan, it's kind of, Derek's binder-esque, right? They showed him the binder, and it sold him on coming back. And it's one thing to see a plan. It's an entirely different thing to go and execute it, and that's just where Jayden Daniels' incredibly hard work came into play.
And also selling the plan to someone who last year, I know we keep talking about the leap, and he did make a leap. There's no denying that. But talking a player into coming back and working that hard for someone who threw for 3,000 yards a year ago, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His quarterback rating was 145 last year. He ran for almost 900 yards a year ago and 12 touchdowns. Right, so it's not like he had this awful season where it's like, hey, we think we can get something out of you. No, he was good last year. He wasn't Heisman Trophy good, but he was a good football player. That's why he had the hype he had coming into this year. That's why he was the first team All-SEC quarterback. And so for a young man to take that information, even though he had a very solid season in the SEC, and realize that he could be better, that he could continue to work to get to another level, because that's not easy to talk a young man into. And so everybody involved, him, knowing that he could be better and putting in the work, and even on his own dime, like BK said, but also the coaching staff putting a plan together, seeing the small things that he could do to get better.
And speaking of getting better, I mean, when you think about it, he did have a good year last year, but it also was incredibly clear on what he needed to improve on, right? It was 7 yards per attempt. It wasn't pushing the ball downfield. He didn't really know how to go through his progressions fully. And these are a couple of my favorite answers from yesterday's press conference. His is Kelly 14, where he's seen Jayden Daniels improve the most.
Pushing the ball down the field with accuracy. You know, I think we all watch games and watch the quarterback, as I call it, ice the puck, throw it out of bounds, not have a chance to make a catch. He's been so good at the deep ball and, being able to hook up on those big plays. I think, one of the things that we do, in fact, lead the country in is plays over 20 yards, plays of 20 plus, 87 of them. And that has to do with certainly runs after the catch, which we're prolific in, but the ability to throw the football down the field would be one. I would say two was in the pocket progressions. I think that is equally as impressive in terms of his development.
Real quick before we comment on it, let's expound on the progressions a little bit and the recognition. This is Kelly 18.
You would think that there's got to be a way to defend him. Saturday night, they overload pressured. And what their hope was with overload pressure and then faking overload pressure, that there could be some confusion for him. It took him probably 2 or 3 times to see it, and then once he saw it, he was able to handle it. So the big difference is with him is last year that might have taken him 2 games. He sees it a couple of times. We're able to make the adjustments for him, and then he moves forward. And then if you don't have another look for him, you're going to have some problems. And that's where he has made incredible jumps.
And that's probably my favorite answer of the entire press conference yesterday, Jake, because that speaks to all of the improvement that he's made and just that, like, when you have the physical skill set, and you got to think about quarterback. It is one of the wildest jobs on the entire planet because it requires just a mind-boggling combination of mental and physical skill set. There's a ton of guys that are smart enough. I mean, not a ton, but there are guys who are smart enough that just can't hack it physically, right?
Yeah.
There are guys who physically are awesome, but they can't hack it mentally. I mean, think about it. From an NFL perspective, there's 15 human beings, if we're being kind, 15 human beings at any given time that play at a level that fans deem acceptable. Yeah. I mean, Derek Carr's probably around the 15, 16 mark, and people don't think he's very good at all. And so it's one of those situations where it's incredibly tough, right? But what you've seen out of Jayden Daniels, he had the physical skill set, but he even improved there. Like we talked about pushing the ball downfield, his accuracy got better. But now when you combine the mental strength that he has unlocked, being able to read defenses, being able to go through progressions. Like it's funny. I like Derek. I like Jayden Daniels in the pocket even more than on the run now. He feels so much more dangerous. He's reached that incredible spot as a fan where when he goes to throw the ball, I basically already have my hand in the air. Like if I see him throwing in rhythm, I know it's about to be a big-time play, and I'm already getting excited every time he drops back.
It's like when Lane Kiffin used to throw his play sheet up in the air. It's the same thing. It's like when he just drops back, takes a read, and then just hits that back foot and lets it go. I'm just like, I'm like, oh, got him. I don't even know where the ball's going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just know that he's got him, right? And so what Kelly's talking about there is so true. How do you defend him? You want to commit extra numbers and try to confuse him? Well, he's going to burn you because you're going to play man and he's not confused. And he's going to go through his progressions and find the open man. Okay, well, you want to hang back and play coverage? He'll still probably find the hole in the zone if he wants, but if he doesn't, he's just going to run on you. And like, what do you do? Go look at the 50-yard touchdown run and watch him just slice through a zone defense like a hot knife through butter. Just absolute peak athleticism mixed with peak mental skill set and elite throwing ability, the accuracy. How do you defend Jayden Daniels? It's become an impossible proposition.
We talked about Florida and what they did before the game, and for him to recognize it because they try to trick you. They bring a ton of pressure. They try to bring it from different levels, from different people, and that's how they've had success. And they try to kind of live in the chaos, and that's what they've done. That's who they were going to be, and they did the same thing in this game. I mean, they blitzed 66% of the time. They brought the nickel 10% of the time, just like we talked about. They brought the corner 5% of the time. They simulated pressure 24% of the time, like he's talking about. I mean, so those are not easy. Even if you know they're coming, even if you prepare for them, right, those aren't easy. And then they did it where they had an overload look, and he was able to handle it. That is not a easy defense to be able to be as clean as he was. You can have success, but just to be as clean, not to have a mistake, not to take a couple of sacks, because they're trying to confuse you by bringing guys from multiple places. I mean, they brought 7+ 10 times in this game.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Like 10% of the time, you're bringing 7+ guys.
And they paid. And look, the tight ends and running backs did a great job in pass pro. And then you just can't man up Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. You know, I mean, it's just, you could try, but unless you got, like, Alabama's the only one that even get close because they have the best secondary in the entire country. And if that ain't you in trouble, dog. But you can't really play zone either. You can't really do anything. 80 plays of plus 20 yards. Are you kidding me? It's just been fantastic.
That's why you have to knock the quarterback out of the game.
And so, again, yeah, for real. It's Jayden Daniels, not just his pre-study during the week, but now he's gotten so mentally strong like the Borg. He sees it, he understands it, and then he counters it. And he can do that all within a game. So they would have taken him 2 to 3 games last year. He's doing it in 2 series this year. That's a Heisman winner. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.